More than 2,000 years ago, a man walked alone through the mountains of ancient China. He was not searching for followers. He had no desire for fame. He never tried to persuade the crowds. While kingdoms expanded and emperors fought for power, he chose silence as his greatest teacher. His name was Sun Tzu. And among the many lessons hidden within the art of war, one truth has echoed through the centuries. He who knows the enemy and knows himself need not fear the outcome of 100 battles. For generations, those words have been understood as military strategy. But perhaps they were never only about war. Perhaps they have always been about you. Because the greatest battlefield has never existed on distant mountains. It exists inside the human mind. And there is one reason why so many people lose that battle before they even realize it has begun. They never learn how to be alone. We live in a world that rewards speed. Answer faster. Produce more. Consume more. React instantly. Always stay connected. Always stay busy. Always stay surrounded by noise. Yet there is one question almost no one dares to ask. When was the last time you spent even a few minutes completely alone? Without music, without your phone, without notifications, without television, without podcasts, without any distraction at all. Just you and your own mind. For many people, that thought alone creates discomfort because silence has a power that noise will never possess. It reveals. When the noise disappears, there is nowhere left to hide. No conversation to escape into. No screen to numb your thoughts. No endless stream of information to distract you from yourself. Only one unavoidable companion remains. You. Perhaps that is why so many people confuse solitude with loneliness. They believe being alone means being empty. Sun Tzu would have called that a strategic mistake. No wise general makes important decisions in the middle of chaos. Before every battle, there is observation, preparation, patience, silence. Because only a quiet mind can recognize what a restless mind will always overlook. Now look around you. Never in human history has it been easier to stay connected. Yet never has it been more difficult to remain present. Your phone wakes before your awareness does. Messages arrive before your first independent thought. Other people's opinions enter your mind, long before your own voice has a chance to speak. Little by little, you stop living from the inside out. You begin living from the outside in. Every day becomes another series of reactions. You react to messages, to headlines, to criticism, to expectations, to comparisons, to endless opinions. Then, when the day finally comes to an end, silence appears, but only for a moment. Another video begins, another notification arrives, another conversation starts, another distraction takes its place, as though spending even a few quiet minutes with yourself were something unbearable. But why? What is hidden inside silence that makes so many people afraid? Perhaps the answer is simpler than we imagine. Silence removes every distraction. And when every distraction disappears, only one reality remains: your own consciousness. It is in that moment that many people discover something deeply uncomfortable. They have spent years getting to know other people, building careers, collecting achievements, accumulating experiences. Yet they have never truly learned how to understand their own mind. That may be one of the greatest tragedies of our generation. We know exactly what is happening across the world, yet we remain strangers to what is happening within ourselves. Sun Tzu understood something extraordinary. A man who never learns to stand comfortably in his own company eventually becomes dependent on every other kind of company. Dependent on approval, dependent on entertainment, dependent on constant movement, dependent on feeling busy every waking hour. And that dependence creates one of the most dangerous illusions of all. The illusion that being occupied means being alive. Observe the routine of most people. The alarm rings. The first thing they reach for is a screen. The entire day disappears beneath meetings, emails, notifications, news, responsibilities, and endless noise. When night finally arrives, silence quietly knocks at the door, but it is welcomed for only a few seconds. Another show begins, another scroll through social media, another distraction. Anything except facing the one conversation that matters most, the conversation with themselves. Perhaps that is why so many philosophers, artists, warriors, and great leaders throughout history deliberately sought moments of solitude. Because no profound vision is ever born in the middle of constant noise. The greatest discoveries, the clearest decisions, the strongest convictions always emerge after the mind has finally been given room to breathe. Yet there is an invisible obstacle preventing most people from ever reaching that place. It is not your phone. It is not social media. It is not your workload. Those are only symptoms. The real barrier exists much closer. It lives in the one place most people refuse to remain for very long, their own consciousness. And it is that invisible battlefield that we will begin exploring in the next chapter. Sun Tzu believed that every great victory is decided long before the battle begins. Not through greater strength, not through superior numbers, but through the ability to see what others cannot. That principle extends far beyond the battlefield. It applies to every decision you make, every relationship you build, every emotion you allow to guide your life. The man who cannot remain alone will never hear his own thoughts clearly. He reacts before he understands. He speaks before he reflects. He attacks before he studies the terrain. And more often than not, he loses battles that never needed to be fought. Sun Tzu understood that every strategist needs distance. Distance from noise, from urgency, from the pressure of the crowd, from the temptation to prove strength before the right moment. Because a man surrounded by too many voices eventually forgets the sound of his own. Perhaps that is exactly what is happening to millions of people today. They are constantly connected, always responding, always consuming information, always watching someone else's life unfold. Yet they rarely spend enough time observing their own. There is a profound difference between being alone and practicing solitude. Being alone can be an accident. Solitude is a decision. It is the moment you step away from excess in order to recover clarity. The moment you stop reacting to the world and begin understanding the ground beneath your own feet. No wise general would send an army into battle without first studying the landscape. He would examine the mountains, the rivers, the weather, the position of the enemy, the strengths and weaknesses of both sides. Yet how many people walk into emotional battles every single day without knowing anything about their own inner condition? They answer messages while angry, make decisions driven by fear, end relationships in moments of frustration, abandon dreams because one criticism reopened an old wound. Then, when everything falls apart, they say life caught them by surprise. But did it? Or did they simply never stop long enough to observe what was happening inside themselves? The absence of solitude turns every emotion into a commander. Anger takes control. Anxiety chooses the direction. Pride decides when to attack. Loneliness decides who should stay. And a mind ruled by impulse can never think strategically. Imagine someone being insulted. Their first instinct is immediate retaliation. to prove they are right, to strike before being struck, to defend their pride. But Sun Tzu understood something most people never learn. Fighting every battle is not a sign of courage. Many times, it is a sign of poor judgment. The greatest strategist knows that some victories are achieved simply by refusing to react. He understands that silence is also a position. Waiting is also an action. Stepping back is often the wisest way to preserve strength. That idea feels almost unnatural today. Our culture rewards immediate responses. Everyone feels obligated to comment, to react, to defend themselves, to prove something. Yet there is extraordinary power in choosing not to answer immediately. Between the moment of provocation and the moment of response, there is a space. Inside that space, awareness has an opportunity to speak, and with it comes one life-changing question. Is this battle truly worthy of my energy? Very few people ever ask it. That is why they spend years defending themselves against meaningless opinions, trying to convince people who never intended to understand them, competing for attention with those who survive on conflict. In the end, they may even prove they were right, but they lose something far more valuable: their time, their peace, their focus. And no victory is worth sacrificing your center. Solitude allows you to recognize that cost before it becomes permanent. The farther you step away from noise, the more clearly you begin to see how many battles were created by nothing more than ego. How many arguments existed only because someone needed the final word. How many decisions were made simply to impress people who would never live with the consequences. How many dreams were abandoned only because silence felt more uncomfortable than distraction. Meeting your own mind is not always pleasant, because silence removes every place the truth can hide. You begin noticing the habits weakening your life, the relationships feeding your insecurity, the desires that were never truly yours, the promises you continue postponing. Perhaps that is why so many people fear solitude. It offers more than peace. It offers revelation. Sun Tzu taught that knowing your enemy is essential, but knowing yourself is indispensable. A man may understand the entire world and still be defeated by his own weaknesses. He may recognize danger everywhere else, while remaining blind to the impatience destroying his own decisions. He may detect manipulation in other people, while continuing to live as a prisoner of approval. He may study every possible path, yet still choose the wrong one, because he never learned to sit quietly with his own fear. That is why solitude is not an escape from life. It is preparation for life. And those willing to embrace it discover something the restless mind never will. The greatest battle has never been against the world. It has always been against the unseen forces within ourselves. And that final battle is where true freedom begins. There comes a moment when every philosophy must leave the page and become a way of living. That moment does not happen while reading a book. It does not happen during a lecture. And it certainly does not happen while watching a video like this. It happens when life places you in front of a decision that no one else can make for you. When fear tells you to run. When anger demands an immediate response. When your pride insists on having the last word. When silence feels more difficult than confrontation itself. That is the moment when Sun Tzu's wisdom stops belonging to history and begins shaping your own life. Throughout this journey, we have explored invisible battles. We discovered that the greatest strategist in history was never simply teaching people how to defeat armies. He was teaching something far more profound. No one can navigate life wisely while remaining a stranger to their own inner world. Real strategy begins the moment you learn to observe your mind before you obey it. Because every great defeat happens twice. First, inside your thoughts. Then, in the world around you. The same is true of every meaningful victory. Before you conquer any external goal, you must first conquer yourself. Think about how much energy disappears every single day. Arguments that change nothing. Opinions that steal your peace. People who were never interested in understanding you. The endless pursuit of approval from those who do not even know your story. Meanwhile, life quietly moves forward, and the only battle that truly matters is forgotten. The battle to build a steady mind, a peaceful conscience, a character that does not collapse when circumstances become difficult. Perhaps this is exactly why Sun Tzu insisted that the greatest victory is won before the battle even begins. He never waits for chaos before developing clarity. He never waits for suffering before learning resilience. He never waits until everything is lost before discovering what truly matters. He prepares every single day, quietly, without applause, without recognition, without anyone watching. Because real strength is never built in front of an audience. It is built in the invisible moments, when you keep a promise that only you know about, when you remain disciplined even though no one will reward you, when you choose what is right even if no one ever notices. Those decisions seem small, almost insignificant, yet they quietly shape the person you will become 5, 10, or 20 years from now. Transformation never arrives all at once. It appears every time you choose awareness instead of impulse, discipline instead of excuses, truth instead of appearance. I want to leave you with one simple challenge. For the next 7 days, spend just a few minutes each day in complete silence. No phone, no music, no television, no notifications, no distractions. Simply sit with your own thoughts. Do not try to control them. Do not fight them. Just observe. Then ask yourself, what truly controls my mind? Which fears continue making my decisions? Which desires are not really mine? Which battles am I fighting only to protect my ego? At first, it may feel uncomfortable. That is completely natural. For years, we have trained ourselves to escape silence. But it is inside that silence that a different kind of clarity begins to emerge. One that no distraction can ever provide. Little by little, something extraordinary starts to happen. Your problems may remain. The world may still feel chaotic. People may still disappoint you. Life will continue presenting challenges. But you will no longer be the same. Your perspective changes. Your responses become calmer. Your judgment becomes clearer. Your peace no longer depends on circumstances. That is the true power of solitude. It doesn't remove you from the world. It prepares you to return to it. Stronger, wiser, freer. Perhaps this is Sun Tzu's greatest lesson. Before trying to defeat any enemy outside yourself, become unconquerable within, because no one can manipulate a mind that truly knows itself. No one can intimidate a character built upon principles. No one can defeat a person who has already learned to govern his own spirit. Before we end this chapter, I want to ask something of you. If this episode challenged the way you think, don't let the journey end here. Support the silent order by leaving a like. It may seem like a small action, but it helps these ideas reach thousands of people searching for wisdom, discipline, and inner strength. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message today. And tell me in the comments, Which lesson spoke to you the most? If you prefer, leave just one word. One word that represents the person you choose to become from this day forward. Your participation matters more than you might imagine. Every comment helps this community grow. Every interaction tells YouTube that timeless philosophy still deserves a place in today's world. If you're committed to mastering your mind, strengthening your character, and living according to timeless principles, subscribe to the Silent Order. Every episode is another step toward understanding yourself, building resilience, and discovering the wisdom that has guided humanity for thousands of years. In our next chapter, we will meet a philosopher who believed that the greatest prison is not built with walls, but with beliefs. He challenged everything his generation accepted as truth, and forever changed the way we understand freedom, purpose, and human potential. Until then, remember this: the greatest victory will never be won over another person. It will be won the day you learn to remain at peace with your own conscience.